Slendy, ego, Slendy, ego, Slendy, ego, Slendy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode 605 of the Talking Ferries podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here, June 9th, 2024. Padres, they split this four-game set with the Arizona Diamondbacks, lose game one, 5-game losing streak. Then the offense comes up big in the next couple of games. They scored a combined 20-something runs, 10 runs, and then 23 runs in the middle two games. And then today, they get blown out 9-3. So, yeah, you could say up and down series. Not that Schilt likes this, but kind of a roller coaster series. And this is what this season has been for the Padres. And after this series, they are still under 500. They're a game under at 34-35. So not a whole lot has changed. I can give you a Manny update, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, as always, if you want to join the show, click that link pinned up at the top of the chat. I will get into the comments, obviously. Comments, questions. I'll get to the super chats, obviously. They jump to the front of the line, so I appreciate all the support there. But yeah, let's just get into today first, and then we'll get into the other three games. Man, it was a long series, 4-game series. Oakland coming up. And I was hoping that this Padres team would go 5-2 on this homestand. But unless they sweep the A's, which they could, but based on this Padres team, they haven't played the best when they're playing bad teams. You know, we've seen them get swept by the bad teams. And so hopefully we don't see a ton of Mason Miller coming up, but that's for a little bit, down the road here a little bit later in the week, starting tomorrow and then going through Wednesday. But today, 9-3, Adam Mazur, first home start. I thought that, I was at the game, so I didn't see exactly location of these pitches, but I'm looking right now at MLB.com and just seeing the preview of some of these, the locations. For example, Jock Peterson in the second, his single, that ball looks like it's belt high right in the middle of the plate. So I'm assuming that a lot of this was missed spots. Some hard contact, obviously. Knew he was in trouble, right from the get-go in the first inning, where Christian Walker had the RBI single. There was a hit, there was a walk, and it's like, all right, not the best start here. I think Ruben had to go out there and talk with Mazur there a little bit. And I actually came away from the top of the first like, hey, he actually didn't give up very many runs, limited the damage. Okay. Tatis has the homer. We know he's back. I don't have to keep saying that. He should be starting in right field in the All-Star game, in my opinion, right now. And part of it's because the National League outfield isn't that great, if we're being honest. He homers, Profar homers as well, but that was really the Padres' main offense in this game. Top of the second was the long inning, the big 6-run inning. It was 7-1 going into the bottom of the second, just hits all over the place. Peterson had an RBI. Single, brought in a couple of runs. Corbin Carroll has wheels. It didn't matter that single was to Tatis. Corbin Carroll was going to beat that. So right there, that made it 3-1. Then it was 5-1 when Gurriel had a double. Then Jake McCarthy gives up a home run, or Mazur gives up the home run to Jake McCarthy. And right there, boom, it's 7-1. It's like, all right, well, this game's over. You want to believe in the Padres, but as I've said previous times before, that comeback that they had against the Cubs, that's not something that's going to happen consistently. Even if you're a good baseball team, it's hard to come back, not just from that deficit, but from today's deficit when you're down 7-1. I get it. We're going into the bottom of the second. There's still a lot of time, and it's not like someone like Garrett Cole's on the mound, but still, that's really hard to do. And this Padres team isn't known for their power, even though that was a positive from this series, was that they did hit a bunch of home runs. Kim had a couple, Croney homered, Higgy homered, Profar had a couple, Tatis, obviously. All of those guys homered either Friday or Saturday, and then Profar and Tatis homered again today. So there was a lot of home runs in this series for the Padres. That being said, they still didn't win the series. They only split. And that's where some of these may end up, I hope not, but they may end up biting the Padres in the butt, getting swept by the Angels, getting swept by the Rockies, and just games where I shouldn't say only games, but the series, right? Where you have an opportunity to sweep and you can't do it. You only take 2 out of 3, let's say. You have an opportunity to take 3 out of 4. I think asking the Padres to sweep a team in a 4-game series, I don't care who the team is. That's a pretty tall ask because it's still a Major League Baseball team on the other side, and winning 4 games in a row in the big leagues against the same team, that's pretty hard to do. So for 4-game sets, I'm like, no, okay, let's take 3 out of 4. Had an opportunity to do that today, and Mazur just wasn't as good as he was, obviously, against the Angels. I think there's more talent, definitely in that D-backs lineup than the Angels. I wonder if he's going to get another outing. I think that's pretty much based on if Darvish is ready to come back, right? Because I forget when he exactly went on the IL. Let's look that up. Darvish. Hold on one second. June 1st. Retroactive to May 30th. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So he could come back. Yeah, he should. If he's able to come back his next start, then Mazur wouldn't make that start. And I think if you're the Padres, you would stick with Vasquez just in that Musgrove slot. Now, if Vasquez kind of craps the bed, then that opens the door to have Mazur come back up and maybe get a little bit more rest, right? And then start that next Musgrove spot right after Vasquez. But I think Vasquez would stick so far the next time through. But we'll see. We'll see if Darvish is ready. If he's not, then Mazur's going to get that third opportunity. He obviously deserved having that opportunity today because of how well he pitched against the Angels. But today, obviously, the results did not go so great. His next outing, I believe, would be against the Mets if Darvish can't make that outing. But yeah, I mean, today it's a big ask when you're down 7-1 in the second inning. That's hard. That's a big ask for the Padres offense. But positives: Tatis having the homer, Profar having the homer. Those are 2 guys that should be starting in the All-Star game in the National League, in my opinion. And it's not just biased. I mean, Profar is a 924 OPS. Tatis is like the biggest name among NL qualified outfielders, probably. And he has an 826 OPS. It's not like it's 700 anymore, right? 281 average. And if he continues to play well going through the All-Star break, then yeah, he definitely deserves it. And I know it's a fan vote, and we'll see when those first, because I think, I forget if MLB still does the 2 stages of fan votes where they have the first stage with everyone included, and then I think it's top 3 at every position, and then fans vote on those, and then the winner of that ends up being the starter. If that's the case, I mean, I would expect Tatis to be in the top 3, or would it be top 3 or top 9 or top 6 because of the outfield? But because it's not like based on right field, left field, center field, it's just 3 outfielders. So we'll see. But those are definitely, and I know I'm biased, but in an unbiased way, I can easily say that, yeah, Tatis and Profar should be 2 starting outfielders in the All-Star game. So they continue to play well. Jackson Merrill, he made a good throw today in center. And he's a guy that, and those that watch every game know, even when it's not a great score for the Padres, he's still hustling down the line, breaking up double plays, or, somewhat, he's forcing the issue. He's hustling. The infielder sees it. Maybe they go too fast. They rush. They bobble it, and Merrill beats it out. He did that today. So I love the effort from him. And I love the quote, by the way, that he had to Kevin Acee in the Padres Daily, because last night, and we can transition into last night's game, where Padres win 13-1, Merrill makes a big diving, not big because it was a blowout, but a diving catch, an impressive diving catch in center field, and the Padres were blowing out the D-backs at that point. It was late in the game. And he's speaking to Kevin Acee. Kevin probably asked him about why'd your catch there, diving, when it's a blowout game like that. And Merrill said, "Who cares? I'm sorry to Suarez." Eugenio Suarez, not Robert. By the way, Robert hasn't pitched in a week plus because no situation has warranted it. But I almost would want him to go out there just so that he can get some game action. But also, if he gets hurt, then that's not going to be a good look. But anyway, Merrill says, I'm sorry to Suarez because anybody needs that hit, but I don't think anybody should stop playing the game hard. I don't think there's an excuse to give up on a ball if we're up by 10 or down by 10. I love it. And I've loved this guy's mentality ever since we've heard him talk in spring training. I mean, remember that big game that he had against the Cubs in Mesa, I think? The Cubs home spring training park. And he was speaking to the media, and I think that was when he was talking about the culture or like how he expects himself to put that performance together every day, regardless if it's spring training or if it's during the season. Um, and I think that's really when the talk got started about, oh, maybe this guy will transition to center field well. Maybe he'll make the opening day roster. And obviously, we know what has happened since, but absolutely love Jackson Merrill's mentality. He has quickly become, and I'm not saying this now, like just recognizing it now. This was, at the start of the year when I was watching this guy every day, because admittedly, I'm not watching Jackson Merrill play minor league games every day. Most of my focus is on the big league roster. But hearing from this guy consistently, watching this guy consistently, just love the mentality. Says that pretty much. Has he had a bad quote yet? I mean, he says all the right things. He performs the right way. And I like how he just wants to help the team. He wants to win. That's what he cares about the most. So I love that. He has quickly become a top 3 favorite player of mine. I know a lot of people can say Tatis, and he's definitely fun to watch. No doubt about that. He's probably in my top 4 or 5. But anyone that knows me knows that I love Crony. I love Joe. But Merrill is definitely up there too. I'm a big Profar fan, and Kim as well. I love guys that hustle, right? I love guys that play baseball the way that we played in high school or growing up, those that hustled, right? Just baseball that fans want to see because you guys are making millions of dollars. You guys are making, some people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we don't make that per year. You know, Padres fans are working their butts off at their jobs to be able to go pay for Padres tickets. We don't want to see you dogging it down the line. We don't want to see you, even if it is a blowout, to be running and just let a ball drop. We want to see the effort, right? So I think the Padres fans can definitely respect that from those guys that do that on this team. But yeah, yesterday a 13-1 win. I mean, that's those 2 games, Friday and Saturday. That was fun. That was fun to see. Have a guy like Luis Ariz get 6 at bats in the game. You know something's going right when you get 6 ABs in a game. Bottom second, Padres took the lead 1-0, took advantage of the air. Kim has a homer. Got to see some pop from Kim in this series. Bottom 4. Crony had that home run. Merrill had a double in the gap. I think it was in the gap. Peralta ends up scoring. Now it's 8-0, and it's the 4th inning. So I'm sure the Diamondbacks fans had the same feeling that we had today. All right, game's over. Moving on to the next day. And the Padres, they kept pushing it even after that. Bottom 5, Cronenworth has a single, made it 9-1. Solano contributes with a sac fly, 10-1. Peralta comes through with a double. That one was in the gap, 12-1. And then Higgy with the homer in the bottom of the 6th. That was the last scoring of the game, made it 13-1. And as I said on my reaction yesterday, 4 homers for Higgy, 4 hits for Grisham this year. And we have Jackson Merrill in center field. I'm not saying Higgy's the best catcher of all time. Obviously, he's not. But I'll take the trade-off. And I know Grisham, he provides power, right? But there was a lot of striking out looking, and Grisham plays good defense, but we're seeing it from Jackson Merrill. He made a diving catch last night as well. Hey, I mean, I'm fine with having Jackson Merrill over Trent Grisham. I'm not, and maybe we'll see it come postseason time or something, but I'm not seeing this huge difference. I'm not looking at advanced numbers or anything right now, but just eye test. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Merrill, and I'm not really missing Trent Grisham. I don't think very many Padres fans are. When you have someone like Jackson Merrill playing center field for you, and what he can bring offensively that Grish just wasn't bringing to this team. But that was just something that I came across last night, which the baseball has some interesting. Those weren't even like advanced numbers, but it's interesting sometimes to look back on trades months down the road. It's not like it's been 3 years. It's pretty recently. And I was not expecting to discover that last night. But offense comes up big, and that's what they need. But they need to keep doing this against these teams that are not the best teams in baseball. Take advantage that you're playing the Oakland A's coming up. Take advantage that you're playing the New York Mets. Take advantage of those teams before you go play the Philadelphia Phillies in Philly, you know? So hopefully they can find some consistency. It's great that they were able to give run support to Matt Waldron, who definitely deserved it last night, going 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4 punch outs. I talked a lot about Waldron on my initial reaction last night, so you can go back and listen or watch that if you missed that on YouTube. But just a great story how he has bounced back and how it seems like he is really confident up there on the mound, and he should be, no doubt about it. He definitely should be. But man, with Darvish and Musgrove going down, it was like, okay, someone's gonna have to step up here. Who's that gonna be? And Dylan Cease has not been great, like the Dylan Cease that he was at the beginning of the year. But I've seen Michael King step up at times, and Matt Waldron has stepped up every single time. His last 6 starts have been like ace level. Maybe if you want to nitpick and say, well, going 5 innings is an ace level, okay. But just look at these last 5 outings. And yeah, the outings before that count, of course, and they were not that great. But we got to remember what our expectations should be for Matt Waldron. This guy's the 5 starter, you know? And right now, he's what, the 3 starter? Cease, King, and him. Because you got Vasquez, you got Mazur, but this guy really is like the 5 starter on this team. There was a question of, okay, where does he fit? Does he fit in El Paso more than being at the back end of the rotation? It's a knuckleballer sometimes, so if it doesn't work out, it's probably going to stink. And he's had some stinker outings this year, giving up 4 runs, 5 runs, not being able to go through 5 innings, 7 runs against the D-backs May 5th. But since then, and that first start came against the Dodgers. Maybe that start, he was like, man, I did that against the Dodgers. And he just goes in more confident, maybe that he showed himself that he can do that against the Dodgers. Maybe he has gone into starts more confident than he was before then. I don't know. But he goes 5 1/3, gives up just 2 earned runs. And then the next outing, you face the Braves. So back-to-back out, you face the Dodgers, you face the Braves. And there he went 5 2/3, 1 earned run. May 23rd, lesser opponent in the Reds, but on the road, 5 innings, 2 earned runs. And then his best outing of the year, 7 innings, no earned runs on the 28th against Miami. These last 2 outings, 6 1/3, 1 earned run, 6 innings, 1 earned run. That was yesterday. And I just see him embracing, and I talked about this yesterday. So apologies that you're hearing this again for those that watch the post-game reaction, but it just feels like he's embracing that I'm a knuckleball pitcher, and he didn't want to really embrace it. It didn't seem like he really wanted to embrace that going into the season. He wanted to be like, no, I'm a pitcher. I throw a knuckleball, but I'm not a knuckleballer, right? But and I complained about this early in the year where throw the knuckleball more. I didn't think he was throwing it enough, and now he is throwing that knuckleball more. And Ruben has helped give Matt Waldron confidence in that pitch. And look what's happening. And Waldron's not R.A. Dickey. He's not throwing the knuckleball every pitch, pretty much. He's not Tim Wakefield. But you put together these outings, I will take 5 innings, 1 earned run. I will take working into the 6th inning, 2 earned runs. Because remember, again, he's the 5 starter. This isn't someone that's going to blow people away with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. No, it's the knuckleball, which it's hard to prepare for, I would imagine, as a big league hitter when you're used to not facing a knuckleball. He's the only one that throws the knuckleball in the big leagues. So it's one thing to, get ready for the knuckleball, but it's not like you really have very much experience, if at all, any experience with that pitch. So it's totally different, I'd imagine, walking up to the plate there. I wonder, how does opposing hitters, how do they um, prepare for Matt Waldron? Like, do they have one of the coaches at batting practice doing their best to throw a knuckleball? Are there knuckleball? Are those pitching machines down there? Are they able to throw knuckleballs? It's just one of those. It's like, do they get an off? Do they get a day off from taking BP before the game? And it's like, hey, just go up there and react, and hopefully you can do well. Do they just try to focus on Waldron's other pitches? Like, I don't know. But Waldron, he has been so fun to watch. And I talked about this yesterday. I don't know if this is like a hot take. I'm not saying he should be an all-star, but I'm saying he should be considered right now. And for every start that he continues to pitch well like this, I think my take of him being an all-star will be more confident and confident. I think, yeah, there's a long ways to go, right? What, 6 starts left probably for Waldron if he goes every 5 days or so before the All-Star game. But if he continues pitching like this, my argument is he does something that no one else in the league does. And so the All-Star game, would you rather see a knuckleballer go up against some of the best hitters in baseball in the American League? Or would you rather see some reliever, and this might be his only time and it's his moment to shine, so I don't want to take that away from him, but like, would you rather see the knuckleballer, or would you rather see some reliever that we're going to forget about 2 days after the All-Star game happens? I'm not saying Waldron has to start the game or pitch a second inning, but pitch like the 4th, the 5th inning, or the 6th inning, and then you have the 3 best closers in the NL pitch the 7th, 8th, 9th. Have Suarez hopefully close it down, something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Again, if I'm not saying Waldron with a 7 ERA go to the All-Star game, but if he continues to pitch this well, his ERA is going to go down and his numbers are going to look really good. And it's not like this matters. The All-Star game doesn't matter. AL doesn't get home field advantage, or NL either. This isn't 2015 anymore, or 2016. It's just a fun game. So I would think about it. Maybe that's just me. But it was good. It was good to see, getting back to Saturday, it was good to see the offense break out. And it wasn't just home runs. There were singles like Croney. There were sac flies like Solano. There were doubles like Peralta's. So it was good to see. Kolek bounced back 2 innings, no earned runs on Saturday. So yeah, that was good. Friday, winning 10-1. Talk about another good game. Tatis, homers. He's had a knack for having those early game home runs. Profar homer. I think that was back-to-back in the bottom of the first, right out of the gate. Campy single. Campy had a better series offensively, and we know that he's been going through it. So good for him. Kim with a homer, bottom of the 6th, made it 5-0. And there, I feel like hopefully Padres fans were like, okay, maybe not game over, but we got a good grasp on this game. They're going to win this game. But then 7th inning comes, couple home runs given up by Wandy, which you don't see a whole lot from, right? Because he's more of a ground ball pitcher. Cattell got him. Gurriel got him, made it 5-3. But then Padres, they add on. And they've done that at times this year where it's like, yep, you're coming back, but you're not coming all the way back. We're not going to let that happen. So I love seeing that from the Padres on Friday. Campy with the single, made it 6-3. Profar with the double, made it 9-3. 4 ribbies for Profar on Friday night. He's been so huge for this team. I mean, it's the best contract in baseball. It is. Maybe there's a long-term contract that you point to, like, man, that's a bargain, and he's a better player than Profar, and it's long-term. But, like, this offseason, best contract? Sure, like Dodgers will say Ohtani because of the marketing and how great he is, but bargain deal, 1 year, $1 million, you can't get better than Jurickson Profar and what he has done. He should be starting in the All-Star game. That's how good he has been. So, I can't say enough about how much value he's brought to this Padres team. And I was talking the other day, I forget if it was in post-game reaction. I think it was last night in my post-game, just saying about some of the good moves that AJ has made. And someone in the comments was like, give props to AJ for Profar. And I'm like, yeah, of course. I guess I forgot saying that. I was thinking, I think more of like the lesser name guys going into the year, like Jeremiah Estrada, someone like that, or Kyle Higashioka, right? Because everyone thought of it as the Juan Soto deal, or and rightfully so, obviously. It's not the Higgy deal. Or the Padres, hey, in return, they got Drew Thorpe in that deal, and people were thinking about that. Michael King. But you get Higgy like that, that's pretty valuable, um, as a backup veteran guy behind Campy. And I hope Campy improves and get back gets back to being the guy that he was. What what would that be? A few weeks ago, I think, is where he was doing better offensively. Rough patch, but hopefully he gets back there. But like Jeremiah Estrada, David Peralta midseason here, Donovan Solano. I think that was that mid during the season. I think that was. I don't think that was before the season. But little signings like that. Obviously, Jurickson Profar. Matt Waldron. I know that the Clevenger deal, right? They gave away Naylor and he's raking, and there was Quantrill, right? But you get Matt Waldron, and they kept giving him chances, and they've kept working with him and giving him the confidence. And now look what has happened there, right? I'm trying to think. Mazur, obviously, that's to be determined. Wusuko wasn't the best, but they traded him to Miami. They get Luis Ariz. And by the way, Luis Ariz probably should be included in that group because the Marlins paid. Didn't they pay all of the contract for this year except like the prorated league minimum? So he got the Marlins to do that as well for Luis Ariz. Go out and you get Dylan Cease. So just signings like that. Obviously, Robert Suarez, that's much more money, but locked him down. And look how good he has been for the Padres this year. And the Padres were like, no, we're not going to do that with Hader. We're not going long term. So there's moves all over the place that I think we should, rightfully so, give credit to AJ and the Padres for making those moves. I probably just blanked on someone, so I totally apologize for whoever I just didn't met. Merrill, obviously, but that's minor league. But I mean, we definitely need to still give props to that because what's been one of the knocks on AJ that he can't develop talent, right? You trade him off for proven talent, and then those guys maybe don't perform up to expectations when they get to the Padres. But with Merrill, I'm not saying he's going to go win NL Rookie of the Year. It was off to a really good start, and he could. We'll see. But Merrill, I think he deserves credit for that. And the coaching staff, I don't really have anything to complain about right now. There's things I disagree with Schilt about, some moves, but it's mostly like things he says, which doesn't really mean a whole lot. We blow it up, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot because what matters the most is the decisions that he's making as the manager in the dugout, right? But again, like I said the other day, I'd rather have a positive manager than someone that I don't feel like he really wants to be the Padres manager. But I get the sense that Mike Schilt really wants to be the Padres manager, and he cares about winning for San Diego, for the Padres, where I think you know who I'm talking about. There's some past ones where it's like, yeah, he was definitely out the door. He was didn't seem like he was fully into it when he probably should have been a little bit more, considering how much was put into the franchise, especially for that particular year. Um, Wandy Peralta's another one as well that we could point to. But yeah, Profar, that's where we started this discussion anyway. I mean, Jurickson Profar, that's a move, the Padres having him, that's a move that AJ can, you know, uh boast. I'm not saying he boasts about moves, but he can boast about that and be like, I got this guy for $1 million and he's gonna be an all-star probably. Um so 10-3 win on Friday. If there's things, by the way, and this goes for every show, if there are things during these games that I did not get to, that because this was a 4-game set, I feel like this thing lasted a week. Felt really long, in my opinion. There's some things that I probably skipped over, forgot to mention. If there are things like that that happen during these series, feel free to let me know in the chat. I try to get to most comments down there. in the chat, so I will talk about those if you do want me to. So I appreciate everyone for being here. Game 1 of the series, a 4-3 loss. That obviously was the one that ended. Gosh, that felt like so long ago. That ended thanks to the home plate umpire. What was this guy's name? Bacchus? Eric, I think. Eric Bacchus? Yeah. The pitch that was never a strike. Terrible call by Bacchus. And Crony gets rung up. Padres lose the game. I mean, the tying run, right? I think it was second and third in that situation. It was at least runner on second, right? Profar stole, got into scoring position. Padres could have tied it up if Crony comes through with a hit there. Yeah, runner on second. And Crony did not, obviously strikes out. But as people have pointed out, as I pointed out, I believe, on the post game after that game, there was the first pitch in that bat that was right down the middle. He could have swung at that, did not. There was the second strike that he could have tattooed, did not, fouled it back. So he had opportunities there. And the Padres, by the way, as a team, had opportunities. 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They were lucky to lose by 1 in this game. You get Randy Vasquez, who doesn't have the best start, but he still goes 6 2/3. He settles down, retires like 17 of the last 19, I think is what I heard on the broadcast that night. Kept the Padres in the game. And Vasquez, remember, he's like the 6-7 starter for this team. But he's in the rotation because of Joe Musgrove being hurt. So he goes 6 2/3, like keeps you in the game, and you have so many opportunities with runners in scoring position. You leave 10 guys on base. You go 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. I'm sorry. I'm not going to just blame the umpire and say that's why. I'm going to say that was a terrible call, awful call. And I thought Mudd was great on the call. Reacting to that. Obviously, he can't cuss on TV. So he goes, instead of "Are you S-ing me?" he goes, "Are you shaving me? You got to be shaving me," something like that. I've never heard anyone say that, but that's totally a Mudd line. So that was a frustrating end to the game, but it was almost like, yep, that's what you get for going 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. You deserve to be rung up there like that. And then Schilt didn't even know he got ejected, by the way. I don't know if anyone knew that or saw that, but yeah, he was notified, I think, Saturday when he was asked about it pregame, and he didn't know that the umpire ran, and it was a weak ejection. The umpire knew that he messed up. And why are you throwing Schilt out there in that situation? The game's over. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just walk. Now Schilt probably went. I think Schilt went out and got him, but like, just walk to the tunnel. The game's over. You don't have to be standing there. And then it was so weak. It wasn't one of those, like you're throwing your arm out ejection tosses. He literally like pointed, like, nope, you're gone. And so I could see kind of how Schilt, if he's pissed off and not really paying attention to what Bacchus is doing with his hands, he's like, oh, I got ejected? Okay. But yeah, it was more frustrating, obviously, the opportunities the Padres had in game 1. Like, you got to come through. Manny, obviously, pinch hit. That was the loudest the ballpark got, I think, in that game on Friday. And it was the situation to do it. I thought they were going to actually do it a little bit earlier, to be honest, when Tyler Wade was up. But Wade, I understood looking back on it that Manny did it with the catcher up, because there you could pinch hit for Higgy and you can have Campy go run for Manny if Manny got on base. He obviously didn't. He grounds out weakly. But if he got on base, Campy pinch runs, and then he stays in the game and catches. Where with Wade, you would have had to use, who? Another infielder, right? So it was underwhelming because that crowd was loud. Like, props to you guys who went on Friday. It was loud. There were the Manny chants, because it was one of those moments where like, oh, Manny's pinch hitting. Like, holy cow, because he just got hurt the night before. And by the way, the Manny update, I think this is a good time to say the Manny update. So Kevin Acee today in the UT, he reported that Manny will likely return in the next couple of days. And I was at the game today, and I saw late in the game where the Padres, they had runners on base. Maybe if there was a couple big hits, Manny okay, the situation warrants it. Manny had his batting gloves on when Kim popped out to end that inning. So to me, right there, I was like, okay, he would have come into the game if it was in the right spot. So that leads me to believe that Manny's probably not going to be going on the IL. And so that confirms Kevin's reporting there. But I did see I want to pull up the actual like latest update from Schilt. Oh, so Marty Caswell, by the way, she posted, sounds like Manny Machado expects to return to the Padres lineup tomorrow. So there's that update. I wonder if Schilt, let's see. I wonder if Schilt was asked by the media here. I'm going to play 97.3 The Fans post game just to see if they included that or if it was only about the game. Oh no, they did. Okay.
Well, some base hits, some balls found holes. That was part of it. Didn't look like didn't have as good a command as he had maybe last time. More mental mistakes. But, like I said, ground ball away from getting out of innings last time out. So trying to figure him out a little bit. Don't have a lot of history with him. He got in a little bit of traffic early. With your starter, you got to trust him. And, he got 4 ground balls, double play balls. Today didn't get the double play balls. Balls were hit at people or not at people. And, they gave the ball down the line. Then McCarthy got him for the homer. But, before that, it went a ton of damage. It was just command.
A couple weeks ago, Fernando talked about wanting to be more selective in the strike zone and doing damage with pitches that he could do damage with. And it seems like he has started to do that. Like, how have you seen that kind of evolve in the last couple weeks for him?
Yeah, I don't think it's going back to the beginning of the year where he did that exceptionally well and had success and got off to a good start, and then continued to do it and barreled a lot of balls at people and everybody would want results, which I get. And then he changed his approach, trying to get the results with a little more chase. Now he's back to everything looks really simple for him. Getting balls he can handle. Swing looks great. He's getting barreled the ball, and the ball's just jumping off his bat. He looks great.
An update on Manny? Is there anything new since yesterday?
He would have been available today for the right spot. We just couldn't find the right spot, to fire him off. But he's in a good spot. Had another good day yesterday because we didn't talk before the game. Had a really good day today. Like I said, he's available today. I'll go back in and take the temperature about what the lineup looks like tomorrow.
Does that mean he's probably trending toward maybe something?
He's trending. Definitely trending towards getting back in play.
All right. Well, so there's the update on Manny. Seems like things are trending in the right direction. Although, like I said pregame today when I was at Petco, I wouldn't be opposed to having him go on the IL because I look at the record right now. They're around 500. They were around 500 with Manny in the lineup. And I know he was getting going, and you want Manny in the lineup, but what if Manny's not 100%? Now, if things are trending in the right direction and he's pretty close to 100%, like the hip flexor thing, it's pretty much behind him. I'd rather it be behind him than pretty much behind him. Like, I'm trying to look at this long term, and I'm seeing that, hey, there's a pocket in the Padres schedule right here where they're playing the D-backs. They're playing, that series obviously is done now. They're playing the A's. They're playing the Mets before the Phillies series. If you put Manny on the IL, he didn't play these last few games, right? Retroactive that IL date to, what would that be, Friday night? And he could be back in time for the road Philly series. And you take your chances with the offense that you have. These last couple of days before today, they combined for 23 runs in those 2 games. Like, they showed against a bad team, yeah, they can put together a lot of runs. Why can't they do that against the A's? Why can't they do that against the Mets? So I trust the Padres. I want to trust Manny, but at the same time, with Manny, we know he wants to be on the field so bad, and that's a good trait. But when you're hurt, sometimes it's, on June 9th here, sometimes it's better to be like, you know what? Maybe the IL is best for me. And I'm not saying you go on the IL for a month. I'm saying you go on for the minimum 10 days. Get a guy up here who can have at bats and can run full speed without worrying about anything, can play the field. You're playing bad opponents. Try to take advantage of that time by having Manny recover and then get him back. I know Manny's a competitor and all these games matter, right? So maybe that goes against the all the games matter thing. But again, I'm trying to look at this long term here. But hey, it seems like things are going in the right direction. I trust the Padres medical staff. I hope it's them making this decision and it's not Manny. But knowing some past things, right, when Manny has gotten hurt, it feels like it's going to be a Manny thing. Manny's going to probably like 80-20, you know. What does Manny think? And if he's running out there and he can't go full speed, then that gives the doctors, the medical side, more leverage. Like, hey, dude, come on. Let's be honest with yourself, right? If the doctors, the trainers, right, they're like, yeah, I mean, you're seeing him run, let's say, and he's good to go full speed on sprints. But the training side, maybe you're like, let's wait a couple days. But if Manny just, as a competitor, Manny's right there and he's like, dude, I just ran full speed, I'm good, then Manny's going to play. I feel like that's how it's going to go there. Hopefully he only DHs, first few days of it. But there's some times where he's going to have to run it out. But, I mean, it's weird, right? Because, we get on Manny sometimes for not hustling down the line. When he does hustle down the line to beat something out, that's where he gets hurt. And it's like, I don't want him to stop hustling on those ground balls, double plays. Like, ground ball to second, I'm sorry. I'm not going to get on Manny every time for not booking it down the line like that. But on a double play ball where maybe you got, let's say, Crony coming up on deck or something, and keep the inning alive late in a game or something, like, yeah, you'd like him to hustle. It's just one of those things that you can't control, right? You could hustle 80 times down the line and not do what Manny did in Anaheim. You hustle one time down the line and it happens. So it's just something that you can't control, and at least I don't think you can control it. And you just hope that it doesn't happen again for Manny. But yeah, that's the update. It seems like Manny is going to be good to go at some point during the Oakland A's series. All right, quick break, and then I'm going to get to the chat. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, a reminder of some of the other... Oh, wow. Grish just homered. So right after I pulled up that stat yesterday when Higgy went deep, Grish homered for the Yankees. Yankees and Dodgers right now on Sunday Night Baseball. I guess he had a 3-run bomb against the Dodgers. He loves hitting against the Dodgers. All right, anyway. Reminder of some of the other great partners of the show. Obviously, just hit on Gaglione there. Gaglione Bros, their main location on Friars Road. Great cheesesteak fries. Love that place. I mean, amazing stuff there. Breaking Tea. Shirts, sweatshirts, Padres, Aztecs, Wave. San Diego Wave, by the way, they were able to snap Orlando Pride's win streak the other night at Snapdragon Stadium with the draw. And then they're now going to be heading on a 3-game road trip. Washington is the first stop, and then I believe they end it with Houston before they come back home. So, should be interesting. Underdog Fantasy, as you see in the ticker, use code Talking Friars or click that link in the description. You will be able to claim a special prize pick, and then you will get 50% deposit match up to $250 on Underdog Fantasy. Again, code Talking Friars, same code for SeatGeek, helping you out there, $20 off your first order with them. All right. let's get to the chat. Any super chats here? Just want to check that first. I don't see any. All right, so I'll go to the top of the chat. We'll go through. Macbeth642 says mid-team so far. I mean, yeah, there's been positives, there's been negatives. They're 34 and they're 34 and 35. So yeah, that's almost the definition. They're almost literally 500. Mike says, unbelievable. This team is actually incapable of winning 3 games in a row, just like last season. Soto is gone. So it can't be his fault. It's the character of these guys that should be questioned. Who are these guys? The team in general? Like, I mean, there's some guys, if you want to point to that, I guess. But as I've said earlier this season, I view this team differently than last season. I just do. What happened to my nail? You guys saw that? Did I show my nail at some point? Well, yeah. Yeah, it's black. I did not paint it. No, it's I was being a dummy for some reason. I guess I wasn't paying attention enough. This was like a month ago and it was blue, but now it's it's not black, but it's dark blue now. I was closing a door to my car and for some reason my pinky was there. And so yeah, smashed it. So that's why. Iron Swan says the thumbnail is misleading, seems more appropriate for yesterday's game. Well, if you do look at the thumbnail, I said offense shows up at Petco. I didn't say the Padres. It was Padres and D-backs that showed up if we're going to think about it, right? I mean, how many runs combined in this game or in this series? 7 in game 1, 13 in game 2, so 20. And then 34, because 14 in game 3. And then 12. I mean, how many runs is that? 46? 46 runs. So both offenses showed up at points in this series. But yes, the middle 2 games, yes, the Padres offense showed up for sure. I was hoping that would, the offense would show up again. So it would be like, hey, Padres took 3 out of 4. The offense showed up in 3 out of 4 games. Like, that was amazing. But nope. I mean, there were still 2 home runs today. Profar had one, Tatis had one, but unfortunately, it's not like it was a 3-run home run or something. And there wasn't anything late. Mike says, Ben, you sound like the manager of the Padres after each loss. I thought they lost today. Well, yeah, they did. Yeah, it wasn't a good performance today, but and I know, Mike, you are a viewer of the show, obviously. I'm just saying in general, like, if you watch the show, the live show, you know that it's talking about the entire series and it's not just focused on one game. But yeah, today the Padres got whooped. Yep, they sure did. Arise didn't strike out, but I didn't see the pitch locations great, but I thought some of them, those pitches were high that he swung at, and it was like a weak pop up to the outfield. So I'd like to see it a little bit better there. You don't want to see Arise really ever go 0 for 5 just because of the hitter that he is. And that's really like more of a compliment because of how talented he is. And yeah, Mazur, I think he said this post game, 3 innings, 8 earned runs. He didn't give the Padres really an opportunity to go win this game. And to be honest, like, having Brito pitch starting in the 3rd inning and not have Mazur pitch the 3rd inning, what really would have that done? It would have been 7-1 anyway. Padres scored 3 runs in the game. The game was over after the 2nd inning. Let's see. Iron Swan says Waldron is throwing it more, referring to the knuckleball, throwing it more than 40% now, and it's working. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's my point. That's been my point since the beginning of the year. If it's working, keep throwing it. It's not like it's the fastball where players are going to sit on it and they're going to crush it if you just keep throwing it eventually. Right? Well, I guess Suarez, it kind of hasn't happened, but you get what I'm saying. If it's 91 and you keep throwing it just because it worked a couple of outings, it's going to get crushed at some point. But with Waldron, that ball dances so much. There's 22 inches of movement on it, right? I think Pitching Ninja posted that the other day. I mean, sometimes he doesn't know where it's going, right? And so hitters, they definitely don't know where it's going. It's nasty. So it's one of those where, yeah, like if there's one pitch, keep throwing it if it's working. Feels like it's the knuckleball. Those other pitches, if literally that's what you throw, they're probably, they're major league hitters. They're probably going to catch on to it. With the knuckleball, though, especially when he's the only one in the league doing it, sure, is he going to give up some home runs if he, because maybe it'll spin too much. It'll be right over the middle of the plate instead of starting middle and then going in or down. Okay, yeah. But if it's working like this, yeah, keep doing it for sure. Let's see here. Mike says it's going to be another season of teams crawling to the finish line and hoping. Well, if you look at the NL right now, I was looking at the standings earlier today. Not that it matters, but I was just looking at where the Padres were, and yeah, they're in this second wild card spot, I think, and they're a game under 500. There's like 8 teams that are right there with like a game and a half, three games maybe. I think the Mets are there as well. 3 games of a playoff spot right now. There's not a lot of talented, but there's talented teams. I shouldn't say that there's not a lot of talented teams. There's talented teams, but there's a lot of teams that aren't maybe not performing. Maybe they're not performing to expectations. They're not exceeding expectations. And then there's some teams like the Padres who are underperforming a little bit, right? Because I at the end of the year, I have this Padres team being a little bit above 500. I'm not saying they're going to be 10 over 500 or 15, but I'm just saying I think they'll be a little bit over 500 and they'll be able to get into the playoffs. And based on the National League right now, they definitely should be in the playoffs. Yeah. Seems like good news regarding Manny. I agree, AJ. Again, I'm just hoping that he's actually healthy. Steven asked, how many top prospects back for Kim? None, probably. Right? For Kim, maybe one. I'm not saying like top 5 because he's a free agent at the end of the year. It's not like he's Juan Soto. It's good defensively, but what would you get back? Probably like maybe a good bullpen arm. Maybe a starter. I don't know what the fits are there, but for anyone that's talking about that, it would probably be because, let's say Bogarts comes back, you put him at short, you like how Crony's looking at second, and you're like, let's put an athletic guy who used to play short, has played second a lot with the Padres already. He's comfortable there, obviously. Let's put him there. Let's have a rise at first. You can rotate the DH a little bit, or you could go pick up someone. I don't know if JD Martinez is in the budget, but for some reason his name just stuck out to me. Stuck out to me, excuse me. You pick up a bat, and there you go. And maybe that's what the thought that we weren't going to bring back him. Some team might overpay for him. It's crazy how much like 4 months can do, Because before the year, what were we saying? If Jung-Hoo Lee just got what he got from the Giants, he's going to get more than that, or at least that, right? But now with this season, I wonder what he will be getting in free agency. He could totally turn it around, and he obviously just had a good series against the D-backs, hit a bunch of homers, and we know what he can do defensively, and he hustles, and so he has good, um, he has a good frame of mind, skill set, attributes, right? Like there's some good traits about Kim, but I'm not so sure. I don't know if he's going to reach the Dansby Swanson contract that Dansby got. Maybe that's something that the Padres want, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you a 2-3 year deal for not a whole lot of money. All right, continuing to go through the chat here. I'm seeing a lot of you guys commenting about Schilt saying ballers the other day. I think that was Thursday, right? When they lost 5 games in a row, and Schilt comes in, and he's pissed off, obviously, but he's defending his team, and he's saying, "I got a bunch of ballers out here," and it's like, do Padres fans want to hear that when we've lost 5 in a row? The answer is no. That's where I understand people's frustration with Schilt, and I have been frustrated with some of his post game comments. We know that you have guys that fight, and maybe Schilt wants to hammer that point home because he knows last year there wasn't enough of that. Maybe he's doing it because he thinks the players are listening to the post game pressers. But I don't know about you guys, but if you listen to Schilt and you compare that to the players, there's different messages there when bad things are happening. Schilt doesn't want to talk bad about players, which I understand. You're the manager, you want to support them. I get it. But he doesn't really want to say a negative thing about it. And then the players are like, no, I understand fans booing. We got to be better. It's not good enough. It's just there's different messaging there, right? So I don't think the players are listening to Schilt. The post-game pressers is what I mean. They may be listening to like his messaging, but like literally the post-game pressers, I don't know what Schilt's trying to really do there. I don't think it hurts, to be honest. I think that only helps your credibility with the fan base. I don't know. All right, 3 games coming up against the Oakland A's. Who's starting these games? Well, today was Musgrove's spot, right? So Cease. Yeah. So Monday, tomorrow, it'll be Cease. Tuesday, it'll be Randy Vasquez. And then Wednesday, day game, it'll be Michael King. And then they're off on Thursday. We'll see how many times Suarez pitched because he has not pitched in more than a week. It'd be nice to see him get in there, right? It'd be nice, going in, I was like 5-2 homestand, thinking in my head, that would be great, right? Take 3 out of 4 against the D-backs, take 2 out of 3 against the A's. I wasn't even saying sweep the A's, but now that they split the D-back series, it's like 5-2, you got to sweep the A's. 4-3, okay, you won the homestand, but you're facing the D-backs and you're facing the A's. I'd like it to be a little bit better than that. But then you look at the Padres record and it's like, well, they're a 500 team essentially. So should I be expecting them to be playing at home and go 5-2, regardless of who they're playing? Maybe not. But how have the A's been doing? Probably pretty bad. Huh? Not as bad as the Angels, right? No, not as bad. They're pretty much the same. A's are 3-7 in their last 10. They lost 2 in a row. Their run differential is -75. The Padres' run differential is +19. So it's kind of like last year, right? Where the run differential is a little misleading because the Padres, they're under 500, but they're +19. Your record should be a little bit better than that when you're +19. right? I'm just looking at some other run differentials here. The Rangers are plus 13. They're 31 and 34. I'm just trying to find similar run differentials to the Padres. Red Sox are 500 at plus 30. Reds are 32 and 34. Their run differentials plus 15. So actually, teams that are kind of similar, they're not like 5 games over 500 or anything like that. But we've seen this from the Padres, right? They score a bunch of runs and then they'll get blown out one game, right? So that's where it kind of balances out a little bit. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Had a little bit of a Manny update there. Padres, they split this series with the D-backs. I wish they would have took 3 out of 4, but we move on to Oakland, and the good news, and I know probably some don't want to hear it, but at least they're in a playoff position right now. I'll end it being glass half full like that.